I am on the road again. I'm headed to a greenway that follows a river. Nothing unusual about that. Yeah, there's some military history here. Nothing unusual about that. They've got some cool bridges. Nothing unusual about that. But there's also a 16th century American Indian village trailside. Oh, there's plenty unusual about that. Stick around for a guided tour of the Catawba River Greenway in Morganton, North Carolina. It was a beautiful day for driving, and Morganton is just a hop, skip, and jump over the mountains from where I live in upstate South Carolina. I passed this roadside RV park on the way, and at first glance I literally thought this said Old Fart RV. Old Fart RV Park. One letter is doing a lot of important work on that sign. I also passed a place that was once an iconic part of the Great American Road Trip. I'm talking about Stuckey's. Remember Stuckey's? You probably grew up loving those pecan log rolls, am I right? Stuckey's was started in Eastman, Georgia by Sylvester and Ethel Stuckey in the 1930s, but by the 1970s it was a full-blown roadside empire with 368 stores in more than 30 states and advertised on more than 4,000 billboards. Stuckey's eventually experienced a decline, but today it's still a family-run business and operates more with the store-within-a-store model. They have more than 50 licensed locations still today, and their products are sold by more than 5,000 retailers. I was intrigued by something called a white chocolate pecan gopher, so I got one of those and a pecan log roll to save for later. This is Morganton, North Carolina. There's some significant American Indian history here that we'll get to later, but an influx of European settlers over the Blue Ridge Mountains led Morganton to become the first chartered town in western North Carolina in 1784. The county seat of Burke County, Morganton is named for a gentleman who has previously been discussed in some of our Joyful Trails videos, General Daniel Morgan. One of the most influential and respected battlefield tacticians of the American Revolutionary War. And I have no idea why I'm speaking this way. 17,474 North Carolinians live here, and it is the home of the North Carolina School for the Deaf. The motto for downtown Morganton is simply charming. Morganton is also known as Nature's Playground. Here's the city's municipal auditorium, which offers year-round concerts and theatrical productions. The old Burke County Courthouse is quite a piece of history. It was built in the early 1830s for about $12,000, according to the interwebs. Used until 1976, you can tour the old courthouse today for a suggested donation of $5. You can even get married there. You know, these kids today are always on the lookout for exotic and unusual places to tie the knot. Nobody gets married at church anymore. But I digress. By the way, can old jailhouse doors become an art installation? They can in Morganton. These 3 doors were saved from the demolition of an old historic jailhouse building. There is a quartet of famous females from Morganton. There was model Paige Summers. She appeared in those magazines where you just wear your birthday suit. Paige, whose real name was Nancy Ann, was a pretty girl. Sadly, she died of a drug overdose in 2003. Then there's singer Alfreda Gerald. She sang the theme song for Space Ghost Coast to Coast in 1994 and appeared in Medea's Witness Protection in 2012. She has sung with everybody from Elton John to Third Day. Frankie Silver, first white woman ever executed in North Carolina, was from Morganton. She was given the death penalty for brutally killing her husband with an axe and then burning his body, although there's always been suspicion that it was either in self-defense or that she had help. Frankie was hanged in Morganton in 1833. Finally, on a much happier note, there's Etta Baker, influential Piedmont blues guitarist and singer. It's been said that the award-winning Baker served as an inspiration to artists like Bob Dylan and Kenny Wayne Shepherd. But enough about axe murderers, girly magazines, and jailhouse doors. We've got a trail to ride. The Catawba River Greenway awaits. Let's go, shall we?
Open air, side by side we sway there in all the colors. Summer love, lonesome dove, folded on the lawn chair in all the colors. Summer love. Stop giving back. Honeysuckle, fresh cut grass. I could really use some stuff like that. Talk to me and tell me all that you've seen and all the colors. Summer love, memories washed in every shade of green and all the colors. Summer love. Day canoe, bathing in the turquoise blue, losing track of time with you. Another peach pie sunset view, sleeping in the afternoon. No place to be and nothing to prove. That's sure something I could use. A cure for the air conditioning blues. Could use some too.
You know, I think I've mentioned before that I'm trying to eat healthier. They say that we should have food every day in our diet from the fruit and vegetables categories. We really should. Well, one of my colleagues over at my day job gave me this blueberry moon pie, y'all. So there go my daily serving of fruit right there. Shout out to Haley. She's a content creator too. You can look her up at HaleyBTV. Who knows, if you subscribe to her channel, maybe she'll send you a blueberry moon pie. By the way, I did another deep dive into the YouTube analytics, and it turns out that only 5 to 7% of you have notifications turned on for this channel. People, that is unacceptable. Ring the bell. Ring that dang bell, dang it. What happens when you ring the bell? Well, if you ring the bell, YouTube is supposed to let you know when there's a new Joyful Trails video available for viewing. I think that's how it works. I don't know. Just ring the bell. I mean, it's free. Stick around for a visit to a very unique and historic Indian village just steps away from this trail. But first, let's do a deep dive into the details concerning this here greenway. It's a paved, mostly flat, mostly shaded trail with some forested areas. All Trails says it's 4 miles out and back, but it definitely feels longer than that. Maybe they've expanded it some. It does hug the Catawba River, but I was there in the summertime, and the tree growth is such that the views of the river are sometimes obscured. But there are some overlooks, some low piers and bridges that give you a nice view of the water. When I was there, the river was mostly slow-moving and muddy-looking, but people still took advantage of the opportunity to go tubing, and there are spots here and there where the water picks up and moves a little bit. There's lots of signs and maps, including info on trees and plants native to the trail area, also animal life close by. This trail connects to some city parks, recreational fields, and a sports complex, including what looks to be a zip line or ropes course or something. There may be water fountains and restrooms accessible at the parks or the sports complex, but not on the trail itself. By the way, I learned something from my near heat stroke in Charlotte recently. I added a second water bottle to the bike. How about that? There's some free trailside exercise stations complete with instructions. There's trailside art from students at area schools. Here's a cute one that says, "Find someone who grows flowers in the darkest parts of you." My goodness, maybe somebody should check on that kid. There is some very consequential military history connected to this trail. That history is explained and honored here, and you can stop and read all about it. One very unique feature here at this trail is what I call the back deck. It's a porch or deck on the backside of a strip mall or shopping center, and it overlooks the Catawba River. I'm not sure, but it seems like maybe this was here first, and they just decided to incorporate it into the trail when the greenway was built. It really is a cool feature and fun to ride across. They even have trees growing up through it, so they just cut out holes for the trees and built the trail around them. The only negative thing I would say about this trail is that it sort of appears to be in need of a refresh. A lot of the paper signage is faded to the point of being kind of worthless. Ditto for some of the navigational markers, and the boards on the deck and the overlooks and such have absorbed a lot of sunlight. They are nearing the end of their lifespan. In fact, they probably should have already been replaced. This trail has great bones. It just needs some TLC, you know? There's even a place where you can pan for gold. I didn't have a chance to do any gold panning on this particular trip, but maybe if I go back, I can find enough gold to buy an e-bike. So I was down on the riverbank with my 360 camera out over the Catawba River getting a shot, and when I finished, I turned around and saw a man standing there. He just kind of looked at me and he said, "What is that?" Referring to the camera. That happens a lot. People are always curious about the 360. They think maybe it's a fishing pole, maybe a gun, maybe a metal detector. He said, "What is that?" I said, "Oh, it's a video camera." He looked at me and he said, "You're that guy, aren't you? That guy that does those bike trail videos on YouTube." I said, "Yeah, I'm afraid so." He said, "Yeah, I'll watch them. I've watched a bunch of them. Yeah." Turns out his name was Doug. We stood there and had a nice conversation for a few minutes about the Catawba River Greenway, as well as his hometown, and even his t-shirt. How about that shirt? I need a shirt like that. Anyway, shout out to Doug. You tend to meet the nicest people on bike trails. Stick around for the Joyful Trails star rating, but first, located just steps off this trail is an archaeological site and two fascinating examples of southeastern American Indian houses as they would have looked 500 years ago. How about this? They call it the Living History Village. These are Catawba Valley houses. I won't go into great detail because I don't want to spoil it for you, but if you ever visit, just know that there are lots of signs with a plethora of photos and detailed info on this exhibit, how it came to be, and why it's important. There's even a garden with information on how the Indians did their agricultural work back in the day. This says, for example, that the men plowed the land and the women tended to and harvested the crops. And apparently they did so topless. Which, I don't know, maybe we could learn a thing or two from the Native Americans. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. Anyway, check out Living History Village. And like the trail, it is in need of some TLC as well. One of the houses in particular seems to have fallen into disrepair, but it looks like they are raising money to get the rehab going. It was another hot day, y'all. Yes, it's climate change. No, it's August in the South. August has been the hottest month of the year my whole life. So it was another sit in the car and eat watermelon kind of day. This time it was an Ingles grocery store that was kind enough to sell me some watermelon chunks pre-cut into bite-sized pieces. So, what do we think about this trail? Well, it's not a very long trail. There's no wow factor. And like I said, it needs updating. Needs a fresh coat of paint, so to speak. But the old trees are magnificent. The river is always near. And that Indian village is certainly something you don't see every day. 3 stars for the Catawba River Greenway in Morganton, North Carolina.